Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from the Game Theaters about how Dandy World lies to you. Now let's hop in and see what else is hiding in this Roblox game.
Dandy's World lied to me. What appeared to me to be an apologetic toon trying to make amends for the mess he'd made was really a cover-up for the deep pain and suffering that he and his former creators were causing behind the scenes.
I don't know why, but it feels so good to hear this intro again. There's something about it.
Hello, Internet!
That's the good
Welcome
stuff.
to Game Theory, the show that's about to burst with black goo if you don't subscribe.
I'm already subscribed.
Okay, that was weird. I'm telling you, black goo can do some weird things to you. We've seen it across many indie horror franchises. It's never
Yeah.
been more true than it has for the Roblox game Dandy's World, a survival game about an abandoned museum and TV studio called the Garden View Center. Created by two young
Garden
visionaries,
View.
Arthur and Delilah, in 1984, they were able to create living, breathing cartoon characters through the power of a mysterious black goo called ichor. Unfortunately,
Or
this very
ichor.
substance is also what causes the toons to turn into their evil counterparts, called the Twisteds. Larger, more deadly versions oozing with the black substance. The first instance
Right.
occurred in 2002, labeled as the Malfunction Incident, and since then, the facility has been shut down, leaving Dandy and all of his toon friends abandoned, locked away.
You know, it's one thing that was actually never really answered. If this place was shut down, how are we getting in? Are we just breaking in every time?
In the facility. Last time we theorized that our lead character Dandy was the one responsible for the incident. He was the
Been a
first to
while.
turn into a Twisted and is now trying to make amends by reviving his friends with ichor in order to bring the show back, only for it to go wrong and turn all of the toons into Twisteds. But it's been a whole year since that theory, and since
That's why I don't remember that.
then Dandy's World has been chugging along, adding more updates, more characters, and of course, more lore. And all of these new updates have shown us
No, you mean to say there's more lore? You gotta drag it out.
a lot more about what's really going on with the toons in the Garden View Center. That this isn't the story of one regretful toon's attempt to make things right, but instead carry on in the narrow-minded footsteps of his creators. So hop in the elevator with me, theorists, as we begin extracting the mysterious dark lore of Dandy's World. One of the first updates
the
that was
syringe.
added to Dandy's World was a video that is running on a CRT in the new warehouse floor. First off, who's got time to look at TV screens when trying to escape monsters? Me, that's who, because that's where the story is being told. The video is of Delilah talking to the main man himself,
Oh,
Dandy.
okay,
She's
that's
asking about
cool.
Dandy's breathing issues, and Dandy expresses his loneliness, to which Arthur reveals they brought to life his pet rock, Pebble, and that more friends are coming soon. But during that section, Arthur says Pebble is just like the show. Before this, our understanding was that the
show.
TV show began airing after the toons were made. The earliest date we had for the show was 1990, but this tape is recorded in August of 1987. You combine that with all the posters on the wall and the opening date for the Garden View Center of 1984, and suddenly it becomes clear that the Garden View Center wasn't a TV studio like we first theorized. It was just a museum for the show, using the storyboards of episodes
Okay.
as memorabilia to display. The other reason I thought this was a studio was because the toons seem to remember everything that happened to them in the show as if they were real events. Those recollections obviously haven't changed, but if Dandy and Pebble were brought to life,
I mean, they could then just watch the show and be like, hey, do you remember this? And our brain just says, yeah, I do.
life in 1987,
I mean-
like the show, it would appear that these characters weren't originally brought to life to be actors, but to be physical representations of those characters. They were even made to watch the shows to essentially become these characters and take on their
see?
memories as their own. So that's one mystery very quickly solved, but let's be honest, we're here for the new mysteries that are coming out. And from this point on, update after
Right.
update dropped with
The
new
new
toons
stuff.
introduced each time. For the Easter update, a new floor was added along with some seasonal toons like Eggs and the Egg, Flight the Butterfly, Coco the Chocolate Rabbit, and Bassie the Easter Basket. But these characters aren't just up to their eyeballs in ichor, they are also filled with sweet, sweet lore. Just looking
yeah,
at how
drag
these
it
characters
out.
interact with other toons, you get a pretty clear idea of their personalities and that there may be some discourse between fellow toons. A lot of Bassie's interactions show that she is very insecure. When talking to Bobette, the Christmas toon, she says,
So, you're the Christmas holiday main?
Last
yeah?
I checked, yup.
Last you checked? Like, we could be replaced?
Bassie
Yeah, that's some insecurity right there.
feels like she could be replaced at any minute. A lot of her interactions are similar, unsure, timid statements. That is, except for when she talks to her fellow seasonal toon, Coco. When interacting with her, Bassie is a lot more standoffish.
Coco.
Oh, Bassie! How are you, my friend?
Fine.
That's great to hear. Were you needing any help?
No, not from you.
What is Bassie's
Not from
deal?
you.
Based on
Damn,
the other interactions,
okay.
everyone seems to love Coco, but Bassie acts totally cold towards her. Although, if you explore the Easter floor a little more, the relationship between Bassie and Coco starts to make a lot more sense. A room in the back is covered in ichor. Writing on the wall says, "Get her!" And then there's a note in a puddle of ichor.
Oh.
The note is from Delilah, the creator of the tunes, and it says,
That's actually kind of clever because it's covering up the words together. Oh, but you remove the two, you just get her.
I don't think she should be the main class toon. She's too reliant on the fellowship of toons she's close with. She is dependent, not an independent. Reconsider. Sounds a lot like our nervous wicker basket Bassie, right? She was being recommended by Delilah to not become a main. And let's be real, if
Right.
Bassie is not going to be made the main Easter toon, they were going to give that title to a more likable toon, like
Coco.
And when we look at Bassie's twisted description, you can see that is exactly what happened. One of the holiday main characters of Dandy's world. The fear of never living up to others' expectations has caused her to act out in desperation. She knew that Coco was getting the
Damn.
buck to main toon over her, no matter how hard she tried. So when Bassie read this letter, her
Could've done
emotions
better.
overwhelmed her, and she became a Twisted. We already know that the Twisteds are a result of the toons being overwhelmed with ichor, the stuff that gave them light. But the clues we get about Bassie tell us that it's a specific moment that triggers this Twisted transformation. This idea was then followed up in the next
Yeah, it does kind of seem to be emotionally based, or at least partly.
seasonal update, the Halloween update, where we are once again introduced to a bunch of seasonal toons, with the main toon being Gordy the Pumpkin, a younger toon with a lot of energy.
Oh yeah, you know what? I actually know this one because of a Popcross video.
When looking through the Halloween floor, we learn Gordy has a lot of deep anguish and pain. One of the walls has a big hole broken through it, and inside is Gordy's room.
I
On the
cannot
wall
remember
are
their
drawings
faces.
covered in ichor and writing that reads, "Why can't I remember their faces?" Looking closely at the drawings, there's a pumpkin holding the hands of two bigger figures.
Oh,
Gordy
his
is also
parents.
noted as being a younger toon, so these figures are likely his parents. Is he struggling to remember them because they were never in the show and so weren't part of his memory installation process? Or is this happening after the place is shut down? And without a show to constantly remind himself, he's forgetting crucial parts of his backstory. Either way, it leads to
Maybe.
Gordy becoming obsessed. He tells us how he begs Astro to make him have the same dream, but Astro refuses.
I used to ask Astro for the same dream every night when we got to see each other on season, but he told me I can't ask for specific dreams anymore. He said
What?
it got
Why?
concerning. Like, what?
Oh.
No way.
Okay, I can
just,
see why.
the two of them, they were there. They felt so familiar.
Gordy becomes more troubled with knowing who these people are, and it all derives from his
Look.
fear of being
Oh
alone.
wait, I'm kind of covering it, but on the corner of this paper, right here, I'm kind of pointing with my mouse. It says "Mama."
If you enter Gordy's room as Gordy, he will say,
I shouldn't stay here much longer.
seeing all these photos and the emptiness of his room is beginning to unsettle Gordy. And this fear of loneliness is made even clearer when interacting with Twisted Gordy. Unlike most Twisteds, Twisted Gordy has
Oh
a
boy.
dialogue as he transforms into different stages. He starts out calm, looking normal but with red eyes. But when Gordy goes full berserk, he says,
Mama? Papa? Help! What's happening?
Yep,
and if
there
you
you
leave, he shouts.
Where are you going? Stay with me, please. Wait, don't leave.
Gordy is terrified
Damn.
of being alone, and the fact he can't remember his
wants a
family is
family.
starting to get to him. Just like Bassie, we are seeing the trigger that pushes Gordy to become taken over by ichor and transform into a Twisted. And that theme keeps being brought up for every seasonal event. Dandy's World already had a
So yeah, okay. So it seems like the main trigger for the Twisted formation isn't really about the amount of ichor put into them, though that can play a part with their mental state. It does seem that it's solely the mental state. Whether they're feeling overly anxious, insecure, or just nervous and scared.
Christmas update the previous year, and it was at that point that we met Bobbette, the Christmas main, as well as the other Christmas tunes. We found notes around that time between the founders Arthur and Delilah, where Arthur was concerned that the Christmas tunes were just sitting in the corner of their rooms when it wasn't Christmas. But Delilah reassures Arthur that it's normal for them because having them interact outside of Christmas was just a waste of resources. Arthur seems deeply concerned for the well-being of the tunes, whereas Delilah is treating them like props that can just be stowed away when Christmas is over. But in the 2025 Christmas update, we get to dive a little deeper into our Christmas main Bobbette, and we see that it's not just Delilah that's mistreating her. On the seasonal floor, there is a CRT playing more CCTV footage, and it's a conversation between Bobbette and...
Oh, and this one took place in December on the 6th in 01. The 6th of December in 01. Damn it, that's how you meant to say that, Fox.
Arthur in 2001.
You did so well with the last meet and greet session. Really festive. It makes me think, what if we can give out twice as many gifts this year? Imagine all the children's happy faces.
Twice as many? But who's gonna make all those presents?
Well, you, of course. Unless you don't think you can.
No,
I mean, that's a big
I
order,
can most definitely
but
make
still.
all of the presents.
We then see Bobbette sitting alone in a chair as hours pass, and then she gets up and gets on with her duties. This interaction sheds a brand new light onto Arthur. Until now, we've seen that Delilah is the calculated one who treats them like objects, but Arthur was kind of the visionary who deeply cared about the tunes. Your joy is my joy, remember? But here, it's clear that Arthur doesn't care about Bobbette at all. He decides she needs to make twice as many presents, and when she questions him, he challenges her and manipulates her. Knowing Bobette's primary function is to make presents and make kids happy, he knows she won't refuse. Arthur is
it's like OCD.
is treating Toons just as much as Delilah, and it's this mistreatment that causes Bobbette to crack. In Bobette's room on the seasonal floor, we begin to see an all too familiar theme. Ichor is everywhere, and there is a note on the floor, this time written by Bobbette, letting out her frustrations.
Every time Christmas returns, it feels as if there is less time to spend it with my friends. I hate to be any trouble. After all, I'm perfect for my role. I've been perfect at it for years. Despite that all, despite it being my season, I have this feeling that I'm not appreciated enough. And I don't like it. Can Delilah fix it? Is it part of me? Can someone fix it? Please, please, please.
This is what pushes Bobbette to literally break, becoming a Twisted, and covering her workshop in Ichor because once again, Delilah and Arthur have pushed them to their limits.
It's all mental.
In Bobette's note
Literally.
caught my attention. When Bobbette is struggling to find joy in making presents, which is literally her purpose as a toon, she asks if Delilah could fix it. As in, could Delilah remove this feeling she's having? What's interesting about this is it's this very emotion, an emotion that is out of character for her, that pushes her to become a Twisted. It shows us that these toons have more emotions than just what their characters are supposed to have. TV cartoons are written to be
they're not two-dimensionally flat.
certain archetypes, a simple personality that is easy for children to grab onto and understand. They don't need to be complex characters with depth and strong motivations, because that nuance is tough for kids to grasp in a short 10-minute episode. When Delilah creates the toons, she and Arthur want them to be just like the show, one-dimensional characters sticking to their defined traits. But clearly, they didn't account for the fact that making toons real would mean their emotions become more complex. They would have different emotions, much like real people. But by pigeonholing them, trying to force them to fit these molds of their cartoon counterparts, it's causing the toons to snap. Bassie is supposed to be a kind and helpful toon, but when she becomes jealous of Coco, she turns. Gordy is meant to be a young, happy toon, but when he starts to feel loneliness, he is overcome. Bobbette is meant to be a joy-giving, present-making toon, but when she wants more than that, to spend time with her friends, she too breaks. Another toon, Shelly, is usually happy-go-lucky, but her handler reveals to us that she's insecure.
I assure you, the other toons do care about you. Please keep cheering everyone on for me until I get back.
And even TV head V is worried about being upgraded by Delilah, worrying that she won't be her anymore, that she's more than just her programming. Very philosophical for a talking TV, but it's all to emphasize that these toons are more than just their cartoon versions. They are breaking away from their character traits, becoming more human. However,
I was going to say becoming more three-dimensionally.
when Delilah and Arthur try to push them back down down into their box, they can't take the pressure and explode. But there is one more new tune that exemplifies this more than anyone. Back in August, Dandy's World introduced to us a new tune named Dial, a walking, talking pocket watch with a very important purpose in the Garden View Center. Dial operates the trains coming in and out of Garden View and can be found at the shopfront opposite Dandy, pulling levers, controlling the trains, and selling you skins of other tunes. The fact that he has a permanent shopfront means, much like Dandy, he must be important. And if you gossip to Dandy about Dial, he will tell you.
It's great having Dial around. He helps me out with certain things. He's sort of like a little assistant, a helper of sorts.
Dial works directly with Dandy, who is running the shops and, as we know, the I-Core operation. Looking at Dial's rainbow clothing, it also shows his significance in the game. The only other rainbow-wearing people...
I do have to say, though, this fit, it's file. I don't know why. It's file.
Are Arthur, Delilah, and Dandy himself. But there's a lot more to Dial than just what he wears. Other than his role of running the trains, he treats his fellow Toons very differently to everyone else.
Honestly, I don't know if I'd consider anyone here even a friend. I consider everyone more of a co-worker, associate. I don't have the luxury of friends.
Anytime you hear the Toons interact with one another, they call each other friends. But Dial is much more calculated, analytical. He sees them all as co-workers. They work at the Garden View Center together. Dial is clearly different from the rest of the Toons, and when exploring his flaw, we find out why. First of all,
like maybe he was never made for the show?
Unlike all the other Toon-specific rooms, Dial's floor is pretty bare. Usually Toon rooms have things that show off their personality. Shelly has dinosaur stuff. V has game show sets. Sprout has a kitchen. But Dial's room looks like an empty warehouse. There's nothing personal in there. The only thing is the posters, and they're all covered in I-Core. And when you enter Dial's secret room, the pieces start to fall together. On the board is a radio transcript between...
So yeah, it's most likely that Dial wasn't actually meant for the show, but was meant to help just with everything outside the show.
Dial, Delilah, and Arthur.
I hate to interrupt this radio channel for childish questions, but I must ask something.
Go ahead, I've got time in between meetings.
When will I take part in the show? Join the others? Hello? Have I lost connection? Have I...
There's no plans of that actually happening, Dial. Why don't you, me, and Delilah sit down tonight, chat on it some.
Now, notice the code next to Dial's name on his room. OA001. We've seen code like this elsewhere in Garden View. Pictures found on some floors show the Toons together and the code L001 and M002 next to them. These codes are based on their roles in the TV show. L001 is Dandy. He is the lead. And M means main. We also see rooms that say SC002, 3, 4, and so on. These are side characters like Shrimpo, Poppy, and Boxster. These assigned names represent their role in Dandy's world, but Dial has a very different one. OA. Given he's the train operator and assists Dandy, this could mean operating assistant, which explains a lot about his character. The reason Dial's floor has nothing matching his TV personality is because he doesn't have one. Dial wasn't created based on a Toon from the show. Dial was created with the sole purpose of operating the train system and assisting Delilah and Arthur. That's why he calls the Toons co-workers rather than friends, and why there are no posters or cardboard cutouts of him around the center. He was always designed to work the trains and nothing more. But now, Garden View has shut down. Dial could be more than what he was made for, and yet he's not. So far, we've seen the Toons become twisted as they start to exhibit more emotions than the ones their TV show characters do. It's clearly what led to the malfunction incident that caused the Garden View Center to shut down. We believe that Dandy has since been trying to make things right. It was all his fault that they were hidden from the outside world. But thanks to the introduction of Dial, we know that this might not strictly be true. See, when talking to Dial about the other Toons, Dial mentions how he uses the trains to access the outside world to gain supplies.
There is a train that leads outside of Garden View itself. I ensure supplies end up here. Of course, no other Toon is allowed on this specific train.
That means there is a way to the outside world, but Dial is the only one allowed on that train. Dial could simply let all the Toons go and be free, but he doesn't do that. Dial is a stickler for the rules. He's been created to follow orders, so if he's told no one is allowed on the train, that is final. This rule would need to come from someone he follows, and right now the only person who fits that description is Dandy. You can actually see this relationship when Dial talks about Dandy.
I hope you're aware. Any earnings I receive...
You know, one thing I did kind of realize, though, is that if you look at the color of the hands on his face and then Dandy's petals, they're inverted. Or, no, not inverted, flipped.
From purchases go right back to Dandicus. I work alongside him. We're associates in a way. No, I'm not allowed to take tips.
There he goes again, saying he's not allowed to do
tips.
something. Dial isn't allowed to accept any money. It all needs to go to Dandy. As we know, the currency in the game is Ichor, and Dandy needs that for his Ichor operation. Clearly, he is the one that gave orders to Dial to not accept money. So, it's likely that Dandy is also the one who told Dial none of the toons are allowed on the train. Dandy is the one forcing Dial to continue to work the train, making him treat the toons like co-workers rather than friends. Dandy is literally continuing in the footsteps of Arthur and Delilah. He's not trying to make amends and help his friends, he is trying to keep them trapped inside as if everything is like it always has been before it all went
as the
wrong.
boss.
This is why Dial truly breaks in the end. If you look at Dial's twisted description, it says he's seen the outside. This fact is significant to Dial's breaking point. That's why it's here. Dandy wants to keep everyone in. Pretend like things were like they used to be. But Dial is breaking away from what he is meant to do. Help Dandy. Dial wants to set the toons free. Take them to the outside world that he's witnessed. Freedom is within reach. And I know that because if you look around Dial's floor and the Ichor covered posters, a significant word is left untouched. Friend. He was told by Arthur, Delilah, and Dandy that these were just his co-workers. But he wants to have friends. He saw the relationship the other toons had and he wanted to be a part of that, and a friend would help to end their suffering by helping them to escape to the wonderful outside world that he'd had the privilege of seeing. But when he gets shut down by Arthur, Delilah, or Dandy, like everyone else, he succumbs to the Ichor and becomes yet another threat that roams these cursed floors. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. Whoa.
Okay, I have to say, kind of an interesting one. Sorry if I seemed a little distracted, stuff going on. But either way, good video as always. I want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.